What is up, Phins Nation? We are back with another Phins Forecast show. This is not a live recording. This is something we're recording and posting later on. So if you're looking for live recordings, look for us in August. But first and foremost, I want to introduce my two co-hosts here. Josh, how you doing tonight?
Hanging in there, man. Feeling a lot better than I was last show. Still dealing with a little cough, but hanging in there, man. The weather's finally nice.
Yeah.
Just living. I love talking to you guys about damn Dolphins football, man. Let's go.
Absolutely. Let's go. It rained all weekend, and it was just but I think the weather's finally starting to break. Summer's finally here, and that's a mixed bag for me because I just want it to be fall. I want it to be Dolphins football again.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But
best season, hands down, fall.
But you're a fool if you wish the summer away. I've always heard people say that you don't wish the summer away. So I'm not going to wish the summer away. I'm going to enjoy the summer, but I will be waiting for the Dolphins to come back. Always.
Hell yeah.
Taylor, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm a fool because I much prefer winter over summer, and I cannot understand people who think differently.
Me too.
Please
I'm
explain
right there with you, man.
I would love to know.
Well, also your outlook on this is a little bit skewed, Taylor. You live in Georgia.
Yes, I'm in.
The summers for you are way more brutal than it is for Josh and
I. For sure.
Yeah. It's not fun.
Yeah, but I will say this. Our winters are a lot worse. I've lived in both places, and Connecticut / Philly winters are hot garbage.
Yeah. Well, cold garbage.
Well,
I am doing pretty good, though. I'm feeling actually a little under the weather. So maybe Josh somehow reached across the screen, gave me whatever he had. But you know what? I'm going to power through it this week. And, man, I'm excited to get into our show topics here.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. So we're going to start right off here. So, guys, if you guys don't know what we're doing, we're going through position groups, position by position by position. Tonight we're doing running backs. So, running backs, we got a few guys to talk about here. We're going to start off with the most obvious guy, the RB1. We're going to start off with De'Von Achane. De'Von Achane is a guy who had a bit of a down year compared to his rookie season as far as like efficiency of his touches. I think some of that goes into the offensive line. I think some of that goes into he was injured. He did have a concussion earlier on in the year. Mm-hmm. Josh, tell us about De'Von Achane.
Yeah, I mean that's our superhero, our Superman on the team right here. So De'Von Achane, he was drafted in round 3, pick 84 out of TANM, Texas A&M. This is what, year 2 for him, or going into year 3? Sorry,
going into year 3.
Going into year 3. His deal, that he has with Miami is a 4-year, $5.3 million rookie contract that he signed in 2023, and his 2005 cap hit. So his cap hit this season is $1.48 million. Okay. Which, I mean, for what he produces and how involved he is in the offense, I'm not sure we have a better contract on the roster, right? I mean, just for what we're paying a player, or rather what we're not paying a player versus his output, which is fantastic. Last year, he played in 17 games. He had 203 rushing attempts for 907 total yards, which, yes, I know, down year based on his rookie year, but still solid. Yeah. 6 touchdowns. This is insane to me, fellas. So he had 203 rushing attempts, right? 907 yards. He also had 78 receptions for 592 yards and 6 touchdowns. So 6 rushing, 6 receiving. And his yards per carry was 4.5 yards per clip. In 2003, so I kind of did for every player that we're talking about through this entire through the show series, right? When we're going position rooms and we're going deep into each player, I did what did they do for us last year? And then over the last 5 years, where applicable. Now, again, as we talked about, Achane has only been on the team for, this will be year 3. So we only have 2 years to go back to. But in 2003, he played 11 games. He had 103 carries for 800 total rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, 27 receptions, 197 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. He followed that up in 2004 with a breakout year, played all 17 games, 203 carries for 907 rushing yards in his second year, 6 rushing touchdowns, 78 receptions, 592 receiving yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns.
So the thing that jumps off the page at me right away, Josh, is 2023's efficiency was just off the charts.
103 carries for 800 yards.
Yeah, ridiculous.
It's a lot of like front loaded too because he got injured in the middle of the season.
Well, there was wasn't there like a 4-game stretch where he had like 150 yards or something plus every game?
Oh yeah.
And he had 200 and something against Denver when we scored 71.
But he went on IR at some point with a knee injury. I think he had a knee
week 12
surgery,
or whatever it was.
He went on IR for a little bit, and
I think it was a knee scope or something like that.
Yeah, and then last year he had a concussion. He had to leave a game due to a concussion. I didn't realize he didn't miss any games last year. That's actually kind of impressive of him. Yep. So Taylor, what do you have on De'Von Achane?
All right, so in case you didn't check out our quarterback episode, basically this is going to start with Josh doing his overview like he just did with Achane. I'm going to try to tie in a stat or 2 or 3 into what I think the Dolphins have been saying this entire offseason, which is we want to win football games that turn into fights. Granted, again, some positions that's more difficult than others to figure out. Running back, I'm going to go through the injury history. I'm going to go through their short yardage efficiency, and I'm going to go over their yards after contact stats. So for De'Von Achane, he did have a foot injury in 2022 during his time at Texas A&M, missed 2 games, missed 4 games in 2023 during his rookie season due to a grade 2 MCL sprain. That was against the Giants. He suffered a ankle injury versus Jacksonville. Didn't miss any games for that. I think that was in 2024. I don't have it listed here. I think that was the season opener. And then in 2024, he had a concussion against New England later in the season. The team was on a bye the following week, so he didn't miss any time other than the New England game. So when it comes to his short yard conversion stats, I don't have specific stats, but as noted in this Fantasy Football Outlook article from PFF's Nathan Janke, quote, sorry, I get confused with his name, like Achane, he changes his name like every now and then, but Achane ran the ball 5 times when the Dolphins needed 1 yard to score. He lost 3 yards on those runs and only scored once. To be fair, he had negative 7 yards before contact and 4 yards after. So this wasn't all on Achane. He ran 14 runs within 5 yards of scoring and only scored 3 times. On yards with 1 yard to go on first down, he converted 9 to 17 runs, again earning negative yards before contact. The league average for running back was 69% conversion rate, but most of the backs had more help from their lines, end quote. His yards after contact stats, it's not great. He had 2.91 yards after contact. That is 28th among running backs. And in his rookie season, he averaged 4.94 yards after contact attempt, making first in the league.
Yeah.
He's one of the best players on this team. I think we can all agree on that.
Absolutely.
But the thing is what Achane provides when it comes to that whole thing that I said about like, hey, let's win games that turn into fights. That's not his game, and that's completely fine.
Yep.
Like, he is the guy who should probably get the ball about 20 times a game, however you can get it to him, and just let him work, let him make people miss. But one thing I do like about him is he will try to make those physical plays, regardless of his size. Yeah. It's kind of similar to Mostert for me. Like, Mostert wasn't like the most physical running back, but he managed to always try to run people over, try to set that tone. Achane's a little similar in that regard to me, but he'll never really be that guy because of just the physical limitations.
Well, yeah, and he's a smallish running back. He's more of a Darren Sproles, a scat back type of guy, and at a certain point you have to save him from himself, and this is why a couple of episodes ago I said maybe we should line him up in the slot more. Maybe we should use him more as a Swiss Army knife, not run him in between the tackles as much. We're going to get into Jaylen Wright, Ollie Gordon, guys of that ilk. Those guys are bigger guys that are more equipped to run the ball in between the tackles.
Mhm.
I think the Dolphins would be smart to just back off the throttle on Achane a little bit and get him in space a little bit more where he's not taking contact from defensive linemen and linebackers. He's
Mhm.
taking contact from cornerbacks and safeties, guys in the secondary. I'm a big fan of De'Von Achane. I think we all are. But again, I just think he's a guy that you need to back off the throttle a little bit and maybe not get him as many touches. And if you do, get him out in space. You mentioned, winning fights and stuff like that. You can win fights with De'Von Achane. You know what I'm saying, Taylor? You can win fights with him, but you need to utilize him correctly. And I don't know that the Dolphins have done that. Especially,
And also,
yeah.
I was just going to add also, like, something I've really liked, and this is going back to last offseason to the regular season, also this offseason. I really like what De'Von Achane says, like, in the media and how he talks about the team. He really seems like a good locker room glue guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And when you talk about, like, when it goes and gets tough in the games and all that stuff, I do think he's one of those guys that people can look to and be like, okay, what are we going to do next?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But also, and this goes back to him running between the tackles, the Dolphins went out and got 2 new guards this offseason. His efficiency went way down.
Yeah.
His efficiency went way down last season, and he was still efficient. 4.5 yards a carry is nothing to sneeze at, but
Mhm.
his efficiency went way down last season, and that's without good guard play. And I think as the season wore on, and then Austin Jackson got hurt, and the running game really suffered, and the offensive line looked like they were in shambles. Every time De'Von Achane would pull off a big run, he'd pull off a 20 or 30-yard run. I'm waiting for the flag. I'm waiting for it. I know it's coming. Who
Jackson
was it?
Carman.
Was it Jackson Carman? Was it Liam Eichenberg? Was it Robert Jones? And I'm not trying to pick on
Aaron
these
Brewer
guys.
as well.
Yeah.
As great as Aaron Brewer was, he did have quite a few amount of penalties.
Yes, he did. And that's the thing. Like when he would pull off a big run or the Dolphins would get a big play, I am waiting.
Where is it?
Yeah, it's coming. I know it's coming. And you know what? I feel like I was like 90% on that. Like 90%, it's like, yep, there's a flag. There it is.
Mhm.
It's coming back. Who was it?
Yeah. I just think Achane is such a great Swiss Army knife. And I know that term has such a negative connotation, right? Because it's I'm good at everything, but I'm a master at none, right? But I think Achane is in fact a master at everything. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the biggest. Yes, he's fast as hell, but he's not the fastest. He's not the best wide. He's not the best receiver. He's not, but he just finds a way to do it, right? He breaks off these 20, 25, 30-yard breaks, whether it's down the hole or whether it's on the edge. He's active as hell in the passing game. And I just think that a player like him has to be on the field. He doesn't always have to be just because he is a running back. And I know both of you guys have been banging the table for this specific thing, and I could not agree more. Just because
Anthony
he's
too,
listed.
Josh. And
yeah, for sure.
I should give Anthony his credit here. Anthony was the first one that pointed out to us, I want him to be a slot receiver. And I kind of looked at Anthony sideways a little bit.
Yep.
And then the more I thought about it, the more I watched De'Von Achane. It's like, you know what? Anthony might have been onto something.
Yeah.
So he was the first one.
Yeah. And just because a player has we're talking about Achane. Just because Achane he is a running back does not mean that he has to exclusively be a running back in this offense or in an offense period. Because to everything that we've said, and every one of us at this point that said it in different ways, he's just as good as a wide receiver as he is a running back.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't think
say
there's a step down in either one of those things where and that's usually not the case. Usually you're going to have a really good running back that can catch, or you're going to have a bad running back that can catch, or or a good running back that can't catch all that great. And a kind of a running back that's not so good at being a running back because he's more of a receiving back. Achane is phenomenal at both.
Yeah, that's why when you were going, he's great at everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're going, oh, he's not the absolute fastest, you're also not trying to pull off the whole conversation people say about Zach Thomas. Like, oh, the measurables aren't there. He's not the fastest. No, Achane is all of, like, except for the measurables, he is lightning quick.
Mm-hmm.
He can burn you in the short run, in the long run, catch, run. He can do it in between the tackles. The thing with all three of us, and I think a lot of Dolphin fans, is we just see the potential of him being used elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also for stuff like, oh, yeah, his blocking grade sucks. I bet it does. Like, all he does is go out there and catch, and when he has to block, he's just not good at it. He's 188
he doesn't have he doesn't have the body size for it, right? I mean, you can only do so much, I mean, with what you physically have on you,
Yeah.
And what you talk about with Achane, about that contract he has, and I couldn't think of really anybody except for maybe Zach Sealer, who's on a contract that, like, oh, what he does for the team compared to the current dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Achane is definitely near the top of the list, and I don't know. I'm just saying this to just throw it out there as an NFL fan. I don't know what De'Von Achane gets paid.
I mean, I honestly, if he stays on this track, I could see him getting 12, 15, 20 a year.
It's like a reverse Devo in a way, to where he's just
don't put that juju on him.
Well, just because, Debo going to running back, and it was like, okay, how do you pay him here? To me, it's like the reverse of that, to where it's like, okay, he's going to have the total yards, but what is he as a running back? Like, do you actually pay him for that? What does the market look like by the time we pay him?
To me, the better comparison is McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what McCaffrey's making. I mean, and I'm not saying that they're the same player. So for the life of me, please don't come at me. I'm not saying that Tua's Drew Brees.
Play style wise, though, it's probably the closest comparison you can make. Play style, not ability. Play style. But yeah, you're right.
I mean, I think McCaffrey's a better rusher, but Achane's a better wide receiver. And the other thing for both of them is a tiny bit, so that's why that's a very easy comparison for me. And I think if you look at what McCaffrey makes, I forgot what his contract is in San Fran, but I mean, I believe it's in the 20s, I think, or at least close to it, right? Maybe 17, 18. I don't know if one of you guys can look it up. But I mean, I do think that assuming he stays healthy, which we have no reason to believe he won't, and assuming he continues to improve and play the way he is, I mean, this is the type of player you don't let walk out your building, but that it's going to cost you, and rightfully so. This isn't one of those things where you're like, ugh, he's average, but the market's dictating that we have to pay him 15, 20 million. And okay, fine. This guy, you run to the podium, or in this case, you run to his agent and say, here's the contract, please sign it. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Christian McCaffrey is making $19 million a year.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. And with inflation.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So, we're going to get into right now what we want to see from De'Von Achane this season, because I don't think we've actually seen De'Von Achane at the height of his powers, if you can believe that. I think there's more to this guy's game. Now, that being said, I have said I want the Dolphins to back off on the in between the tackle runs. At the end of the season, I would like to see, personally, I'd like to see De'Von Achane to have as many carries as Jaylen Wright and Ollie Gordon put together. So if that means De'Von Achane has 150 carries, I would like Jaylen Wright and Ollie Gordon to have 150 carries. Same amount. And
you're gonna really like my player projections, by the way.
So with De'Von Achane, I'd like to see him he caught 73 balls last year. I don't think another 70 catches is out of the realm of possibility. And I will say this: when I said 70 catches a couple shows ago, eyebrows were raised. So
for Achane,
yeah,
both
your eyebrows raised a little bit.
We had 78 last year.
Yeah. So I'd like to see another 70, 80 catch season here.
But the context also matters, considering what the two premier wide receivers that we will get into in the wide receiver episode coming out, they ideally should have a lot more targets, a lot more receptions, a lot more overall production. It's part of the whole thing about the current conversation around Jonnu Smith, which I'm not saying, oh, take away a weapon just because we have so many. I'm just saying, like, somebody in this offense will not have fantastic stats if everybody stays where they are. Jonnu Smith, Tyreek Hill, all that stuff.
But
Well,
the thing
I can
is,
tell you this: it will not be Achane because he is going
Yeah,
to.
it will not be Achane. Like,
thing
even
is, and
because
that's the
also he's a
thing,
running back, so he'll put
I
up.
look at Achane, and I look at Tyreek Hill, Jaylen. I look at all the Dolphins' weapons, and this is again what I've said going into the season, where the Dolphins were meant to win games 35-31, 40-37. This is how they're built. So De'Von Achane is going to be one of those guys the Dolphins are going to count on to get key rushes, get key receptions. He's going to be a stats monster. I want him in all my fantasy football leagues. Absolutely 100%. Like first round pick type potential here, in my opinion.
Depending on where you're picking, yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah. Oh, yeah, not one overall, but if I had the 9th pick in the first round, yeah, please give me De'Von Achane.
That's a safe pick.
Yeah. If he stays healthy, he's going to be a stats monster for you. So, Josh, with that being said, give us some projections here.
Yeah. So before I get into the numbers, right? So how I thought about this when I was doing his projections is that I think he's going to have a little bit taken off of his running abilities because of the talent now that we have behind him, coupled with the talent infusion that we have on the offensive line, which really plays into what the other two main running backs do well, which is running between the tackles, right? And I think that will allow him to, what we all hopefully shift over to play more of a wide receiver or a receiving back role while also getting the majority of the carries, right? So for his projected stats, I have him, and guys, I really want you to listen to this, and I really, really, really am curious to hear your thoughts, okay? I have him at 189 carries for 932 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, 67 receptions for 515 receiving yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns.
All right, so I think I like those projections. I wouldn't mind seeing the carries go down a little bit and the receptions go up a little bit.
So here, and you'll see this theme. I think when I was doing all of these, including the quarterbacks and the tight ends and the running backs and the wide receivers, this offense is to win games, to what you literally just said. We're going to have to. It's going to be 30-38. It's going to be 42-32. It's going to be 50 or 60. I mean, I think we're going to have a 50 plus point outing next season somewhere, hopefully against the Jets. And
hopefully we do, considering what last year was.
Right. And again, it's all luck and it's all if everyone stays healthy and all that stuff. But you will notice that the volume for every player is probably a little more than you think, just because I think we're going to have more bites at the apple. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And again, we talked about Tua. That show is posted right now. If Tua stays healthy, we're going to have plenty of bites at that.
Yes. And really think when we get into the other two in conjunction with Achane, think 2023, right? Yeah. When Mostert and Achane kind of both had about the same amount, and they were rushing like 20 times a game each, right? Yeah. I mean, I see the rush is going to set up the pass. Yep. And the pass is going to be amazing because the rush is going to be really good. So that's kind of how I'm seeing this season.
And one more thought on this before we move on to Jaylen right here. When we talk about running backs, when we talk about the Dolphins running game, the Dolphins offense is at its best when they're running the football effectively. We saw that last year when the running game there was a time there when the running game was maybe averaging 1.5, 2 yards a carry. And I'm not even joking. It was bad. It was real bad. And part of that was Tua being injured. Part of it, there were a lot of factors at play. But the bottom line is, when the Dolphins aren't running the ball well, this entire offense just grinds to a screeching halt. So we want to see these running backs, all three, 4, however many running backs are on this roster. We want to see whoever is on the field cook for the Dolphins this season.
I will say this, though, before we switch, and here's a hot take, if you will. Where I think Achane is the most talented player in the running back room, me personally, and you will see this in a second, I don't think he is the best prototypical running back that we have on the roster.
Well, with that being said, we are moving on to Jaylen Wright.
Yahtzee.
Yeah. That's what you call a transition.
I love it. It's like almost like we do this for a living, fellas.
Yeah. So we're moving on to Jaylen Wright here. Jaylen Wright is a guy. Last year was his rookie season. We saw some good things. We saw some not so good things. I think mostly what we saw from Jaylen Wright is a bigger physical running back. He can also hit a home run. He's got some speed to him. I'd like to see him moving forward in this season, and moving forward the rest of his career. I think his vision was a little bit lacking last year, so I'd like to see his vision get a little bit better. But one thing I did see from Jaylen Wright, that guy's ripped, and I think he gained some weight this
I think he put on like 10 or 15 pounds of muscle.
All muscle.
Insane.
Insane. He looks like a freaking Greek god. I gotta tell you, it's unbelievable. So I'm going to start off with you here, Josh. Tell us about Jaylen Wright.
Yeah, so Mr. Jaylen Wright out of the University of Tennessee, shocker. That's who I was talking about with what I just said. I think Jaylen Wright today is the best prototypical running back that we have on the roster. Now, please understand, I will say it again for those that are listening in the back. He is not the most talented running back that we have on the roster. That is far and away, De'Von Achane. But if you think about, okay, I want to make a running back in a lab.
Yeah.
For what we have on this roster, he is the closest thing to that. I'm not saying he's the prototypical, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he's perfect in every way and that this is what running backs should look like and how they should play. But if you look at everyone that we have on the roster, Jaylen Wright is the most prototypical running back that we have on the roster.
Yeah.
I feel like I got to say it 700 times because I'm going to get destroyed. He's not the most talented. He's the better. Anyways, University of Tennessee running back that we took in we traded a third round pick this past draft to move into round 4 the previous season in 2024. And we took him at pick 120. He's been with us. Obviously last year was his rookie year. So we're going into year 2. He signed his rookie contract at 4 years, $4.6 million. His cap hit this year is $1.15 million. And what's crazy is that's $300,000 less than Achane's making.
Yeah.
So, if these two guys, Achane's figured it out already to the umpteenth degree, but if Jaylen Wright can put it all together, we have a solid 1-2 combo for under $4 million cap hit every season for both of them combined, which is insane. Last year it was low, right? It was expected. I mean, he didn't play in the beginning because we had Mostert and Mostert left. And then, Achane took the majority of stuff and then he went down and then Wright played and looked really well and in some cases and so on and so forth. But he played in 15 games last year, which is great for a rookie. Got some really good experience in the NFL. Rushed 68 times for 249 yards. No touchdowns, only 3 receptions for a total of 8 yards. And his yards per carry in his first season with a bad offensive line was 3.7. So there's some room, right? There's some things he can work on, right?
Yeah.
But there's also, to your point, Keith, there's some things that he did really well where his vision was lacking. His footwork, I think, needs a bit of adjusting, right? I think he had a little bit of happy feet, which with the offensive line that he was running behind when he was in the game makes total sense because I would be nervous too. But I think what he does do really well is he initiates contact. Amazing. He looks for it. There, in that 5-year stat category that I do, the only thing we have is what he did last year, and I just talked about it, so I won't waste anyone else's time repeating it. And I will pass it over to Taylor.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of yards after contact, I'll get to it. His injury history isn't that long. He did have a thumb injury at the end of his 2023 season that apparently did affect his pre-combine and that draft process for him. But he was relatively healthy for the 2024 season. I couldn't find any short yard conversion stats for Jaylen Wright, unfortunately. In terms of his yards after contact stats, he averaged 4.35 yards per carry after initial contact during the 2023 season at Tennessee, which ranked top 10 in the nation. He had 592 total yards after contact on 137 plus rush attempts. So Wright, his lack of impact in the 2024 season shouldn't really dispel people from theorizing about his potential this year, in my opinion. He's a clear need on this team as that prototypical Josh, as you said, that bell cow kind of build. He's 5'10". I think he's 5'10", 210. Yeah, that's what I have him listed as here.
And then you can probably add another 5 or 10 pounds to that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Because he went through that workout process like he was the RB1 of the team.
Yeah.
Kind of what we saw from Achane the year prior, by the way. Mm-hmm. So he on his team, we talk about like, hey, run the clock out. Let's get a few crucial first downs. Last season, I don't know if you guys really got into it, but sitting at home just watching the games, I was going like, get the ball to Jeff Wilson. I know Jeff Wilson isn't the best, but for the type of back he is, there were some situations where it was just like, give him the ball, let him try for it. Stop giving it to Achane because as good as he is not converting these. The offensive line's not there. Wilson can at least push through. I think Wright can be that kind of guy. And this is something we had conversations about earlier in the offseason. Can he actually, put on the weight? Can he step up when the Dolphins need him to? Because now Mostert isn't there to back him up. So we'll see. But I think there is a role on this team for him that it feels like the Dolphins are trying to gift wrap him.
Yeah. And I think he makes – and without spoiling it, I think he makes a big jump this year.
Yeah. And we're going to get into those projected stats there, Josh. But the thing that jumped off the page at me when it came to Jaylen Wright, when I looked at his film at Tennessee, was the majority of his highlights were when he was running through holes that you could drive a truck through. Like those were his highlights. You get him out in space, you get him out into the secondary and into the second level. And he is a tough man to bring down. He's a tough man to catch.
Yeah.
What I want to see from Jaylen Wright, and I think he has the potential to do it, I know he has the physical tools to do it, is make yourself small and fit through those holes that De'Von Achane has become adept at fitting through. Because in the NFL, you're not going to find a lot of holes that you can drive semis through, So that's what I want to see from Jaylen Wright this season. That's what I think we can get from Jaylen Wright this season. He's going to have to be the prototypical running back at times. I think you're going to see more sets going into the season where De'Von Achane and Jaylen Wright are both lined up on either side of Tua. Like in a shotgun formation, De'Von Achane and Jaylen Wright are both lined up on either side of Tua. Maybe De'Von Achane goes out for a pass and Jaylen Wright stays in and protects Tua. He's the running back blocking for Tua. Or, you fake it to Achane, you run it to Wright, or vice versa. The sky's the limit. The limit. The only limitations here are Mike McDaniel's imagination. Honestly,
Which
that's the only limit.
As much crap as Mike McDaniel gets, we're all Dolphin fans. We've seen some crazy plays over the last 2 years. The problem with Mike McDaniel is getting to the simple stuff. He handles the complex very well.
Yeah.
So he should have no problems figuring out how to use not just I was about to say Mostert, Achane and Wright, but also the other guy we'll talk about here in a few minutes, Ollie Gordon. Because you were talking about, you have Achane go out for a pass and then maybe somebody like Jaylen Wright blocks.
Yeah.
Then help us say, Ollie Gordon would be perfect in that situation. But we will get there. This is about Jaylen Wright.
We will absolutely get into that. But the point is that this is a team that didn't do the simple things well last year, like you said, Tim. They didn't do the simple off tackle runs well. They, misdirection they were great at, screen pass to the wide receiver. But you do that too many times, defenses start looking for it. It's not special anymore. It's not unique. It's just what you do. You're a gimmick offense. The Dolphins need to get back to the meat and potatoes, running the ball in between the tackles, and Jaylen Wright's the guy that can do that for you.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just Keith, I think you nailed it, bud. I think sometimes you just got to put your helmet on, you got to put your ball in your chest, and your man has to beat the man in front of him.
Yes,
and that's what we couldn't do last year. How many times did we say it on the show? How many times? More than I can count, right? Where we said at least last year's iteration of the team with the poor offensive line play and all of the injuries and the running backs seemingly falling off and Tua getting injured and all that other stuff and no wide receivers that were bigger than 4'8". if we had to get 4 yards, 3 yards, or 2 yards on a 3rd and 2 or a 4th and 2 to keep the chains or to move the chains, pass it, because rushing we're going to lose yards every
It was
single
not
time.
an option. Yeah.
This year, we have 2 solid options. And I mean, on those kind of things, on like those goal line formations or those 4th and 1s when the game's on the line, you put Jaylen Wright and Ollie Gordon in.
Yep.
I mean, lead blocker, or Alec Ingle, or whoever the case is. I have a lot more confidence in how this roster is constructed today with the improvements to the offensive line and the improvements both internal from Jaylen Wright and De'Von Achane from a workout and build up your body and get ready for the season, but also the infusion of Ollie Gordon, who I think, I mean, just 2 years ago, and we'll talk about him later, but 2 years ago, he was in a first round discussion, and we got him in the 7th or wherever the hell we got him. 5th.
And Keith, you were talking about what you've seen on film at Tennessee and the speed he has. That's something that does pop off in his film. And it did when he went to Miami. And then those preseason games, there's just a burst that he has when he hits that line. I remember there was a game against Georgia in 2023 to where I think it was I was at least on the first drive. He just breaks a nasty run, speeds past everybody. Yeah. Unfortunately for Tennessee, that was like the last time they'd score and they'd get blown out by Georgia. But man, that was a tone setter that I really wish his team could have backed up a little more, because he really did a great job there. The issue for me with Wright has always been, okay, the speed is there. I like how you try to go after contact when necessary. You had the build to power through those hits. To me, it's been vision.
Yeah.
Vision absolutely. And blocking. Just get better at those things, and you have a RB1 on your team. And I'm not just saying that as a Dolphins fan. Like,
and the one thing that gives me
draft, he was great.
The one thing that gives me pause about Jaylen Wright, and I apologize in advance, guys. You guys are going to roll your eyes and kill me, and you might reach through the screen and choke me to death when I say this, but another guy who had the prototypical build, the prototypical size, speed, all of that combination, but never put it together because he never had the vision to put it together. He wouldn't be able to see a hole if it was right in front of his face. Kalen Ballage. He was a guy that was exactly like that. Guy had no vision whatsoever, and he never put it together in the NFL because, as a running back, it's great to have all the measurables. It's great to be able to run away from people, but you have to get past the line of scrimmage first. You have to break through the line before you can get to the second level and start breaking tackles on guys that are smaller than you. That was Kalen Ballage. That was always my problem with Kalen Ballage. He was one of the most infuriating players I've ever seen to watch. And I saw shades of that with Jaylen Wright last year, but I don't put that all on Jaylen Wright because the offensive line was in shambles. I want to see what happens when Jaylen Wright has a hole not as big as a semi truck, not as big as a a Ford F-150. But if we have a hole the size of a Prius, will he be able to see it and go through it? Yeah, and get into the second level.
And also don't forget,
Jaylen Wright.
And don't forget, he was a rookie last year. I mean, I give him some grace in that. And I think Jaylen Wright is more Jay Ajayi than he is Kalen Ballage. Right? Okay. She's just a really healthy Jay Ajayi who has legs, because Jay Ajayi came into the NFL with no knees and no ankles. I mean, I did this with Achane. I'm going to do it with Wright. I'm probably going to get destroyed. Don't laugh at me. But I see, God, I'm so hesitant to always do this. When I see Jaylen Wright play the right way, which we saw sometimes last year, and again, he was a rookie behind a poor offensive line with Mike McDaniel forgetting how to call plays and no real quarterback. I mean, so many things against him. So I give him a little bit of grace. But when he put it all together, I saw shades. Everyone listen, shades of Ricky Williams.
Go through with it. Oh, yeah. He did the thing.
I mean, running with anger, with speed. When he did see the hole, he hit the hole hard, north-south, not this east-west crap that I cannot stand from a running back. Put his shoulder into somebody, ran him over, and initiated contact for the next one. Again, I'm not saying he's Ricky Williams. I'm not saying he's ever going to be that good. I mean, none of that. But what I'm saying is it was shades of. There was a taste, a flicker of that kind of player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I saw that too. I love how your comparisons goes right to like these great Hall of Fame caliber players. Is Ollie Gordon going to be Eric Dickerson, Josh?
No, actually, he's going to be
Derrick Henry, right?
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Oh, okay. All right.
No,
but
again,
I
please
see what you're
understand.
saying. I see.
Please understand. I am not comparing either of these players to Hall of Fame level talent. I'm just saying there are shades of their games where if they put it all together, they might sniff X. Right? You know what I mean?
But again, Josh, like this is the disparity between a player like Jaylen Wright. Like I compare Jaylen Wright to Kalen Ballage. You just compared him to Ricky Williams.
Nope. Nope. Let's not put that narrative out there. I said J.J.
No, but you made the comparison. You made the comparison. You said there were shades of Ricky Williams. I saw shades of Kalen Ballage.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't like a glass half full, glass half empty type of situation. This is who he could be. Like we're talking about a guy who can look like Ricky Williams at times, and then turn around the very next play and look like Kalen Ballage.
Mm-hmm.
We want those two. We want him to meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, JJ. Perfect.
Yeah, JJ. Right.
Or another running back. Who's another running back, right, that he reminds you guys of?
Nobody really comes to mind. Like JJ is a good Ricky Williams. Like I see what you're saying there. Like he is a physical type of guy. He's probably a little faster than Ricky Williams.
Well, yeah. I mean, he ran. Was it high 4.3s, low 4.4s at 210 or 215 or whatever it was.
But I remember when the Dolphins drafted Kalen Ballage, and I promise you, I'm going to stop doing
this.
He's a UFL legend.
What is it? Arkansas? Where did he come from?
It was Kansas State.
Kansas State.
Kansas State.
That's what it was.
And I remember when he came out, and it's like this guy. They drafted this guy Kalen Ballage, and he's got all the he ran like a 4.3 something at the combine. Like he ran, he's big, he's fast. Like, okay, why this guy drop? Why this guy dropped? It's like the 5th round of the draft. I don't know what.
Because he couldn't see shit.
Because he couldn't see anything. Because he had no vision.
He also ducked over a pass, which I'm not even crapping on for it. It's just really funny in hindsight.
But he got a few other opportunities in the NFL because he is a physical specimen.
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Wright is a physical specimen. A lot in the same way of a Kalen Ballage. He's that good physically. He just needs to. His eyes need to match his physical traits. I think it's possible that it happens. I think it's, I'm not going to say probable, but I hope it happens. Because if it does, the Dolphins have one hell of a 1-2 punch at running back.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, give us some projected stats here.
Yeah. So again, right, like I said with Achane, and like I'll say it, and I won't say it every time, but I'll just throw out the reminder from time to time. I think this offense has to score points to win games. So I have no choice. I'm not going to anticipate injuries for those of you that are watching. So I'm anticipating not everyone staying healthy, but key players staying healthy. Our offensive line being kind of a single unit for at least the majority of the season. Tua not getting injured. I said it on our last show. I think that Tua stays healthy all season this year. With that said, Jaylen Wright as the number 2 running back on this team. I have him with projected stats of 127 carries for 533 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, 20 receptions for 167 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown.
That's a hell of an uptick in receptions there, Josh. From 3 to 20. So do you see, and Taylor, I'm going to ask you this question as well. Do you see more receiving ability in Jaylen Wright? Because he didn't really show a lot last year. Maybe that was by design. I don't know. But what do you guys think about his receiving ability?
I'd like to see more receiving ability out of him. That was something I mentioned the vision at Texas, receiving ability and that production. I wish there was a little more there at Texas as well.
Tennessee,
yeah.
Tennessee. Sorry.
Same colors.
And
same letters too.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, with Jaylen Wright, that's the reason why I think he kind of slipped a bit in that draft, because he was a really good prospect, especially in a draft class that wasn't particularly the most sought after at running back.
Yeah.
But when you have the stuff like the vision and the receiving production, all that stuff, I think that's why you see a slip. Plus, like I kind of mentioned with the injury thing, that probably played a role too. But yeah, when it comes to receiving, I would be ecstatic if he actually improved there.
Well, and here's where I got to this number, and I have spoiler. I have 2 more receptions for Ollie Gordon because I think Ollie Gordon's a better pass catcher than Jaylen Wright is right now. But if you look at what Raheem Mostert did 2 years ago with Achane, Mostert's gone, and so is the other guy that I didn't like. I can never remember his name.
Jeff Wilson.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
They're both gone, but they were both not heavily. I mean, Mostert was heavy in the passing game. So is Achane. And I think Jaylen Wright steps into that kind of number 2 running back. You know, we're talking 67 receptions for Achane, 20 receptions for Jaylen Wright. I'm not saying that he's going to become a wide receiver, but I think in certain specific game planned downs and schemes that Mike McDaniel draws up, if Achane, is out wide and he's covered, but we still need to pass the ball as an extension of the run game, which we have done since McDaniels has been here. Jaylen Wright as a number 2 is going to get more targets. Now, whether he catches him and turns him into anything, that's a whole different story. I mean, I could see him being targeted 30 or 35 times with only 20 receptions. Like that's the kind of, I see him stepping into that kind of more of that Raheem Mostert role.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, with the receiving tools, I don't know that I've seen enough to think that he'll garner 20 receptions. But again, if he's on the field with De'Von Achane, that might just get him closer to that number just through osmosis because, misdirection, sky's the limit, Mike McDaniel's imagination. Jaylen Wright is going to get some opportunities in the passing game. Let's hope he takes advantage of them. We're going to move on to our last running back that we're going to talk about today. There's other running backs on the roster, and we'll give them a cursory mention. But
glance.
We'll give them an honorary mention. I should
It's not full-on 20-minute conversations, though.
Yeah. But now the last guy on this roster that I really want to talk about, a guy I'm really excited for, to see what he brings to the Dolphins, is rookie Ollie Gordon. He's a rookie out of the University of Oklahoma State. If you look at his 2023 tape, he looks like a borderline first-round pick, like you said, Josh. Like he does. He looks that good. And the team was that good. 2024 Oklahoma State, not a very good football team. Not very efficient offensively. Ollie Gordon, as a result, he dropped to the 6th round. I think it's a little bit low, especially considering if he'd come out in 2023, he would have been probably a 2nd-round pick. To drop to the 6th round, that's quite the precipitous fall. Can't say I saw that coming, but Ollie Gordon also wasn't a guy that was really on my radar until the Dolphins drafted him. It's like, I remember him. I remember him back in 2023. I remember him lighting the world on fire. How the hell did this guy fall to the 6th round? Josh, talk to us about Ollie Gordon.
Yeah, so Oklahoma State, I mean, a lot of the 6th-round pick 179 for the Miami Dolphins. Like you said, 2 seasons ago, or not last year, but the year before.
Yeah.
Over 1,700 yards. I mean, he was regularly in mock drafts in the 20s, in the 1st round, falling out sometime, maybe a team trading up in the late first to pick him up. He decided to go back to school, but Oklahoma State lost a lot of players in the transfer portal and the draft to injury. And that team was garbage last year. They were just not good at all. And so, Ollie Gordon's stats, obviously he bet on himself and, the team failed him, right? I mean, he did what he could. And so, he's a rookie. I'm excited about him, and we'll get into all of that in a few here. But signed his rookie contract, which is a 4-year, $4.1 million rookie contract. His cap hit this year is a shade over $1 million, so $1.025 million. He has no kind of key 2024 NFL stats. However, in 2022, so going back to college, in 2022, he had 62 carries for 308 rushing yards. In 2023, which was his massive year, he had 285 carries, 1,731 yards, 22 rushing touchdowns, 39 receptions for 330 yards. Then we look at last year, his everything went down from 285 carries to 189. He had 858 rushing yards behind a horrible offensive line and a horrible offense whose offensive coordinator was awful.
Yeah.
But he still had 858 yards, 14 rushing touchdowns, 30 receptions, and 201 receiving yards. So for those of you that aren't keeping track, in 2 years, he had 69 receptions. In 2 years, he had 500, 8, 9, 10. I'm trying to do math live here. Not smart fellas. He had just over 600 carries in 2 years. He can catch. He is good at everything. I mean, again, this was 2 years ago. This was a first-round talent running back.
All right. I'm just a quick correction. He didn't have 600 carries in 2 years, Josh. 285 and 185.
Oh, I was looking. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong numbers. Yes. Yeah. 3 is 4. Just over 5.
I'm not trying to call out your math.
Nope,
600 carries in 2 years.
I was looking
that's a
at
red flag.
I was looking at the receiving. It was adding receiving yards and carries for some reason.
Okay,
Sorry,
fair enough.
They're right on top of each other. No, 285 carries in 2023, 189 carries in 2024. This is why, folks, you don't do math live.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
Just
Taylor.
don't do math at all. It's not important.
Yeah, exactly. Taylor, talk to us about Ollie Gordon.
All right. I'm going to try to hold my thoughts till the end of this. So the injury history, not that much to really talk about. He was banged up throughout 2024 with multiple moments of injury, but he kind of played through it all. Short yard conversion stats, 2023, 55.6% conversion rate on 3rd and short, which is 1 to 3 yards to go. Successfully converting 5 out of 9 attempts. 2024, he was 66.7% conversion rate on those same situations, successfully converting 6 out of 9 attempts. Yards after contact stats in 2023, Gordon led the nation with 1,056 rushing yards after contact.
That's insane.
Accounting for approximately 61% of his total rushing yards. In 2024, Ollie Gordon recorded 614 yards after contact, accounting for roughly 70% of his total rushing yards.
Yeah.
Now, to me, I think he's the most interesting rookie prospect on this Dolphins roster. Not only does his skill set reflect the team's needs at this position perfectly, but his 2024 season, while clearly a massive downgrade, Josh just went over everything. There's a lot of context for it, but at the end of the day, it is a massive downgrade, and there is a reason he was a 6th-round pick. But still, it was pretty solid for what the Dolphins need at running back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you saw that with the yards after contact stats I just laid out.
Well, Taylor,
He's a guy who.
Let me
Go
interject
ahead.
real quick. You said there's a reason he's a 6th-round pick. Tell us why he was a 6th-round pick.
I think it's because you see the downgrade in production. And you do see from 2023 to 2024, and I do like this is going to come across like my nickname here, delusional Fin fan, like I'm just being delusional. I think you do see his injuries throughout the season. Like he is there's not that burst that I think he had in 2023. He wasn't the speediest guy anyways.
No,
but in 2024, he looked far more like Najee Harris than I have. I'm just very uncomfortable. Making that comparison.
I mean, look, if we could tell you that Najee Harris is a number 3 running back on your team, I think you're in really good shape. I mean, I'm sorry to say, I don't think Najee Harris is anything to write home about. He's also hasn't been on really good teams. So
yeah, but also Najee Harris has a lot of positives. As much as I do think he's not a starter, he can catch, he can block. The problem with me is he's just so freaking slow, and it's like he has cement on his shoes, or he's running in cement. And the same thing with Ollie Gordon in 2024. I do think like he's a step faster, and I do wonder if the injuries also played a role in that. But when it comes to stuff he does well, the blocking tape is off the charts. Like Dolphin fans listening to this, I'm not saying anything you don't already know if you're listening to a podcast like this. You probably already heard Kyle Krabs talk about it. any other pocket. Dudley do wrong. You probably heard everybody talk about this dude and probably heard somewhere that he blocks very well. He also catches very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He can also convert in short yards. And you guys said all these great things about Jaylen Wright, and I really like Jaylen Wright. I hope he lives up to it. I hope he takes that RB2 job and he runs with it. But, man, there's a part of me that is rooting for Ollie Gordon to somehow win as well, just because of what you see in that 2023 film, because it is very special.
And that's the thing, Taylor. If you look at 2023, and just, try and delete the 2024 tape from your mind, I can easily see him being RB2 to RB1B in this offense. Like he was that good in 2023. He was unbelievable in 2023. But you're also Taylor, like you were talking about yards after contact, 61% in 2023, 70% of those yards came after contact in 2024. Like that's an insane stat. That's an insane number.
Mm-hmm.
And it also tells you, especially in 2024, how many times he was probably hit behind or right at the line of scrimmage, because 70% of your stats after contact, that almost sounds like a made up stat, honestly.
Yeah. And it tells you like the offensive line is bad. It tells you that he doesn't really have that. Yeah,
it tells you the context. It does. But you look at him physically, right? I mean, he's built exactly how you want your running back built. He's tall. I mean, he's taller than any running back we have on the team. Mm-hmm. And he's got some weight to him. And I know everyone calls him slow. I don't understand it. I mean, he's not running a 4.3. No. But you don't need him to run a 4.3. If Ollie Gordon ran a 4.3 at his size, he would be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, okay, cool. I don't need you to be fast. We have one of those. Mm-hmm. We have 20 of those on the team. What I need you to do, which I think Ollie Gordon would do really well at, and I think in my projections, you'll see my predictions for rushing touchdowns for him. He's going to be that goal line big back that we need to get those 2 yards, where we're going to run it 3 times in a row. We're going to give it to Ollie Gordon 3 times in a row, and he's going to get 2 yards at some point.
Yeah. I think that's what we're hoping for. I think that's what we're hoping for that. I'm hoping for more, because I knocked Jaylen Wright's receiving abilities. Ollie Gordon does have receiving ability. He is that kind of guy you can leave in on third down and have him roll out into a flat for a screen, maybe run a wheel route with him, or you just leave him in the backfield, have him block for Tua Tagovailoa. Because look, what do you say? I want to steal the other guy's soul. I want to make him not want to ever rush my quarterback ever again. Like that's the kind of guy you want in the foxhole.
Inject it into my veins, please.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I love it. And I love that from Ollie Gordon. I think this guy has potential. I think as the season wears on, the Dolphins will probably work him in more and more. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping Ollie Gordon, Jaylen Wright combined have as many carries as De'Von Achane. That's my dream scenario. If they have a little bit more, even better. Josh, tell us about projected stats here.
That's a really good segue, sir. All right, so projected stats for Mr. Ollie Gordon himself.
This is not my first rodeo, sir.
I love it. 77 carries. All right, and we'll do some math, which I just said I wouldn't do, but we'll do some quick, loose math here in a minute.
Yeah.
So Ollie Gordon, 77 carries for 275 total rushing yards on the season. Okay. 4 rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
On 77 carries. 22 receptions for 126 receiving yards. Okay, so what did you just say? You wanted what? You wanted both of them.
I wanted Jaylen Wright and Ollie Gordon's carries to be equal to or better than De'Von Achane.
So my projections for Achane from a carries, 189. Jaylen Wright is 127, and Ollie Gordon is 77. 77 and 27. 4 carry the 1s, 8, 9. It's 190 something.
It's 204.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
It's 114. I don't know. It's 204, right? So maybe that's a little high, right? Maybe Jaylen Wright's carries will go down a little bit. Maybe Ollie Gordon's will go down a little bit. Whatever the case is, these are just projections.
Yeah.
Because I think that Ollie Gordon in the beginning of the season is really not going to be part of the offense in a big way. I think he might see a sub package.
Yeah.
But going in later into the season where, people are dinged up, and if the game is a blowout and going into the third quarter or middle of the third, I could see Achane coming out and Jaylen Wright being RB1 and then Ollie Gordon being RB2 and getting some serious carries.
Yeah. Well, look, 204 to 187 for
189.
189 for De'Von Achane. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want. That's ideal for me in my mind. I think that's ideal for the Dolphins.
Yep. And over 100 receptions between the three of them.
Yeah, and that's the kind of production you want out of your running back room.
Mm-hmm.
And you also want to spell De'Von Achane from running the ball too many times and getting tackled by the big guys, the linebackers, defensive linemen. You want to save him from that. And you kind of want to transfer that on to guys who are better equipped to handle it, more physically equipped to handle it in Jaylen Wright and Ollie Gordon.
Yeah, you want to save Achane for the playoff win that we're going to have this year.
Yeah.
Sure.
There you go. There you go.
Optimism.
Optimism. I love it.
Hey, if you're not going to have it now, when are you going to have it? Because it sure as hell ain't going to be during the season.
I do have one more stat here.
Bring it, Taylor.
I was trying to look up that percentage stat, and I couldn't find a source for it. I do wish I linked it, so I do apologize if it is a bit off. But I found another one from MiamiDolphins.com here. At 226 pounds, the power is obvious. His 68 missed tackles forced in 2023 were the most in college football. He also gained 1,056 yards after initial contact, which is the second most in the NCAA that year, behind North Carolina's Amarian Hampton, per Pro Football Focus.
He's in good company.
So, that's a good name to say. He's close to it.
And again, I think that's the disparity between that 2023 year and 2024. So this is where I think with the conversation around Ollie Gordon, are you the rational fan who's like, okay, he was a 6th round pick. He's playing behind Achane and Jaylen Wright. How much is he really going to do? But then you start to see stuff like that, and then you watch the highlights, and then you watch the film. And I think there are some Dolphin fans, including myself, who are like, he might be a guy who we see in a few seasons as taking some carries, as some legitimate, meaningful carries in this offense.
Or, maybe Jaylen Wright as RB2 does really well, and we re-sign Achane and we see Gordon, and so we're like, okay, let's see what we can get for Wright. I'm not saying, I'm just scenarioing it, right? Or Gordon goes, in a trade or something,
But I think if the season plays out somewhere close to how you have it projected, Josh, this is a running back room that Dolphins fans can be excited about.
For sure.
And I think that's the point. I think that's what we're looking for. Ollie Gordon was that going into the offseason. What do we want? We wanted a guy who can run the ball in short yardage situations. We wanted a guy who could get that 1 or 2 yards, stick his nose in there.
Yep.
And Ollie Gordon is that guy. If you look at his 2023 film, he looks exactly like that guy. If you look at his 2024 film, maybe not so much, but also all those yards after contact, they count for something. So this is a running back room I think I can truly get behind. And to round out this running back room, we have the fullback. We can't forget about this guy. We can't just leave him out of our conversation, because when he went out last year, and I'm talking about Alec Ingold for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about. When he went out last year, he went out with an injury, and the Dolphins running game suffered as a result. There was a very, very, very clear downtick in their stats, in their rushing efficiency once he went out. Now, he's not going to be a stats maybe. He's not going to be a guy who gets a lot of carries or a lot of receptions. He'll get the odd reception, the odd carry every now and then. But this is a guy that he's been rock solid for the Dolphins since he's come onto the roster. He's been one of the best fullbacks in football since he's come onto the roster. And I think he's essential to the Dolphins running game, especially when they run it, out of when Tua's under center. Or even the pistol formation. This is a guy that's going to play a role for the Dolphins this year. So I don't know what kind of projected stats you have for him, Josh, but talk to us about Alec Ingold.
So Alec Ingold, I think, is again primarily a blocker, right? He's that dirty, grimy, do the dirty work, grab your lunch pail, put your helmet on, kind of close your eyes, grit your teeth, and hope for the best, right? And that's what you want in a team captain fullback. I mean, my concern with Alec Ingold has nothing to do with his on the field play. It has to do with his contract. I mean, he's on the books for a $5.2 million cap hit for a fullback. That's a little rich for my blood, but I mean, what he brings in leadership and team captain, I think he's a multi-year team captain. I think he's been a captain every year he's been on the team, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. My projected stats are low because, he 14 carries, 22 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 7 receptions, 54 yards receiving.
And
I mean, but,
he's not
48 pancakes.
Yeah. He's not going to be a stats maven. And I think what Taylor's going to get into here more so than anything is that the Dolphins. So I'm going to start off by saying the Dolphins lost Teron Armstead. The Dolphins lost Calais Campbell. They lost leaders in this locker room. But Alec Ingold is one of those remaining stalwarts, one of those remaining guys, one of those remaining real true leaders in this locker room. And $5.32 million or whatever the cap hit is, Josh, maybe that is a little rich, but it's also priceless.
Of course, right. With you 100%. The only reason I brought it up was not because of me. It's not my money. I don't give a shit what these players make. My concern and my fear is that because I don't want to see a team without Alec Ingold.
The percent of cap.
Right. And my fear is that with every other move that this team has made in the offseason when it comes to players and what they're doing with them, the fact that we being the front office didn't decide to, fix that cap hit concerns me a little bit. That's all. I'm not saying, again, that $5 million ain't my money. Pay him whatever you want. Pay him $15 million. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? But, if you look at positional value, that is probably in the top 5 paid at his position, if I had to guess, without having anything in front of me. So, something to keep an eye on is all.
But he's also a top 5 fullback.
For sure.
Taylor, what do you have on Alec Ingold here?
All right, so I would like to apologize because I forgot about the fullback.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I will just throw out there, you guys nailed it. He is a guy in the run game. He is one of the off the field guys that you really want on the team. Josh, he also nailed it with the cap thing. So I got really nothing to add other than that.
Yeah. I mean, he's a tone setter. He's a tone setter. He's going to be a tone setter for the Dolphins. And again, Josh, you got into projected stats. He's a hard guy to project. He's a hard guy to really just, he'll get the odd cast, the odd carry, whatever. That's not where his value is. His value is in this locker room for this running game. But that's going to wrap
blocker.
up.
As a lead blocker.
Yeah. Exactly. That's going to wrap up our running backs. There are other guys on the roster like Alexander Madison, Nate Noel. Hopefully, for Madison's sake, maybe he'll contribute at some point. I don't know that he will because those top 3 guys that we mentioned, they should be our top 3 guys. And in an ideal world, if they are our top 3 guys and they have, again, anywhere close to those stats you're talking about, Josh, we're not going to need Alexander Madison or Nate Noel to contribute to this team. So we're not really going to talk about them much. So we're going to wrap up this running back show right now. We're going to wrap it up. Wrap it up, ship it. We're done here with the running backs. So if you like what you saw tonight, please like, subscribe, leave some comments in the comment section. What do you think about the Dolphins running backs? What do you think about De'Von Achane? Do you want De'Von Achane to run the ball a little bit less, run a little bit more? Do you want to see him lined up out of the slot a little bit more? What are your expectations for Jaylen Wright, Ollie Gordon, the rest of the running back room? Please tell us in the comments.